Hey.
Hey Curtis, can you hear me? Good.
Oh, look at this. It's sorted. It's sorted.
Don't know what's wrong with my light. I've got this light that's.
You're
Oh,
looking
wipe
gorgeous,
your
shining.
lens with your jacket or something or
I
cardigan.
did, and this is what it caused. Sorry guys, this is very unprofessional.
Go up. Wipe it up.
That's the lightning, the lighting. Ah.
There you go.
Sorted.
Hey Ivany.
Hello, my lovely.
So there is history between us, is it?
Don't say it like that.
Two's a company, three's a crowd.
This crowd. So
The in crowd.
let me just welcome everyone to the show again. Welcome to the Social Work Race platform, and here we are as social workers after all that pain. Welcome back to the platform, everyone. And these are I guess I haven't spoken to Ivan in a long time, but we are good friends, and
Yes.
we studied together, and we had interesting conversations. It was an interesting time, and we're going to talk about your journey, and the audience will have questions for us.
Okay.
Which I'm sure you'll be able to answer, and we can talk about where we are in our studies. What I would say is don't say where you work, but you can say whatever else you want to say. That's my only suggestion. However, welcome, guys. It's been a long time, mate. It has been a long time. Long enough. Okay, so here we go. Listen, today we're talking about the journey so far. I think this is really helpful because I think that, and we've got quite a few students on here. Guys, please say where you are, not you, the audience. Please say where you are in your studies again, or if you're in your career, let us know again so we know who we're talking to. It's really helpful. And they're going to want to hear from you about your journey. I'll share a bit of mine because we've all done completely different things. But before we get into that, I guess, Taiwo, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Taiwo. I'm a qualified social worker. Currently working for a London local authority, and I've done my ASYE, so I suppose I can talk a little bit more as to what's kind of happened after. But I now finished my ASYE. Is it over a year ago now?
Yep.
October 2021 or 2022?
2021.
2021? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's where I am now. So I'm a fully fledged social worker. That protection has gone. Or did we ever really have that protection? There we go.
What protection?
The ASYE protected year.
If they think you can take it, you're going to take it, I'll tell you.
Yeah, so that's where I am at the moment.
Ivany, talk to us. Who are you and how are you?
I'm Ivany. I, like Curtis and Taiwo, we qualified in 2020. I did not do my ASYE straight after. I waited for a whole year. And started my ASYE May 2022, and I'm now in the final semester for the ASYE program at London Local Authority. It's the same, it has to be said though, it's the same local authority as Taiwo, but our experiences are different.
Oh man, I wish we could talk about it. We just can't. Oh.
Huh? What?
Well,
why?
We'll talk off camera. No, because I was there as well.
Oh, were you? No, but
No. You were another one.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Say no more. I get you.
Yeah, we keep a tab of each other. We know everybody else's business but our own.
Okay,
no, yeah, my experience to date is completely different.
Okay.
From Taiwo, and Taiwo is fully aware.
Okay, here we go. Let's go straight into it. Just to remind you guys, if you have any questions, throw them out there because this is for you to learn and for me to enjoy. So we've got social work students, second year. Someone else was saying that they're in their masters doing their 100-day placement earlier on. Day 55 of 100 days.
Yay.
Student second year.
Yay.
BA first year. Someone is asking, what is the...
Ivory, I know you too. Who's this?
I know, social
Somebody
worker and
knows
mentor.
me.
And the mentor.
Question, what is the ASYE program, someone's asking?
So the ASYE is the assessed year, and it's the protected year. So you do that once you've qualified. So once you've done your 70 days, you've done your 100 days, you're qualified, you've got your piece of paper, then you apply for your ASYE year. And I know there's a little bit of thing with this at uni, wasn't there? Because some people were saying it's compulsory, some people were saying it's not compulsory. I think it depends which local authority. So I don't think it is compulsory yet, but I think some local authorities that I've seen have said that for you to work with them, you need to have it, whereas others, you know, don't say that. And then you've got 2 years to do it once you've qualified. Yeah. So that's what it is. So it's like you're protected.
What happens after?
Yeah, exactly.
Done it?
Exactly.
This was
And
a
within
question
that year,
could
it's
never be
protected,
answered.
isn't it? Yeah, you're protected. You get
Within
a lower
what's more,
caseload.
what's in, ideally, supposedly that's what's supposed to happen. Tyler is laughing. It has happened that way for me, though, I'd have to say.
It has, and it didn't for me. So there we can
All
talk
right,
about that.
all right. So someone's recommended you do it. Okay, great. So Taiwo, in a couple of sentences,
Do you recommend definitely doing it? Is the question.
Yeah, that's it. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. I find that if I answer every question every time they pop up, I will never stay on course. But we have to take a break and come back to them. So, Taiwo, just give us in 2 sentences what has been your journey, in a kind of 2 sentences, from your degree to where you are now.
So I was quite lucky, I would say. I found getting the ASYE or the newly qualified role quite easy. I applied, there's quite a lot of jobs that were coming up. So one thing I would advise people to do is to start looking very early on. So from around December, January, February, start looking, because some local authorities have all year starts and you can literally just jump on and off, like roll on, roll off. Some have specific start dates, so like April, September, October start dates. So my start date was October for the local authority that I was in. So I would say start as soon as you know you're about to finish, just start looking. So I got 2 offers and I picked the local authority that I felt best met my needs. And I started while we were still in lockdown, which was quite interesting because there was no one in the office still at that time. So a lot of the stuff was online, but our team was really good because we had the daily check-in. So you kind of still felt part of it. And as you know, there were some social workers that went into the office every day. So that was good as well, just to be able to touch base with those people. And they kind of held me. And actually, they held me right through my first year. Ivory knows who those ladies are. And they were really, really supportive. And they kind of really took me under their wing. So that was really helpful. So I would say that my journey was really smooth. But again, like I said, it's because I started looking early. And also because I'd worked in local authority, I kind of knew how to answer the questions when you apply. So local authorities like examples. They like to see kind of what you've done and how you did it.
Hold on. We'll come to that. We'll come to it.
Yeah.
Right. So hold on. Let me ask you, just to be clear, your journey was you qualified, then you applied for the ASYE, and that was in what team?
Children with disabilities.
So
when you apply, you can't say what team you want. You literally just go for the interview, and then they will tell you.
No, hold on. We'll come to it. We're going to come to the details.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to know.
I didn't apply. You don't apply for a particular team. You just apply for a newly qualified role.
Program.
Yeah. All right,
and then you went from that team to what team?
So now I'm in the LAC team. So I did my
Okay.
ASYE year,
Yeah.
finished it, and then felt I wanted a change. I'm now in a looked after children's team.
Okay. Cool. We're coming back to you. Don't worry. Ivany, what's your journey been in a nutshell?
In a nutshell, so qualified in 2020 and then did agency work. So again, my experience is different from Taiwo. And I have to say, it was probably through lack of confidence. Yeah, just scared of the interview process. I didn't know how to respond. So basically, I think possibly lack of experience, although I did my placements. Anyway, I got into the local authority that I'm with now, first as a PA, personal advisor, in Children with Disabilities team. And then from that role, I then applied for the ASYE program in the same local authority. For my case, because I was already known with the local authority, they asked me for which team I would like to do my ASYE in. And obviously I wanted to stay with CWD. And that's where I am today. Why are you looking
And
blank?
I'm surprised. Sorry, no, I was reading a comment. I'm surprised that you said it was a lack of confidence. That's an interesting point. We're going to get to that. I know you as quite an assertive person, but this is interesting. It is something, because suddenly the depth of the pool changes suddenly when you get your certificate and you're like,
Yeah.
go for it now. Do you want to talk a bit about that? That was it, Imposter?
In terms of, oh yeah, definitely. I've written about it tons. I go through it every day, and I think it's good to. It's not a bad thing. I put it out there straight. It's just part of you being a conscientious person, I think. And I think in my case, for the type of character that I am, I like to know. I like to know what I'm doing. I don't want to be thrown in the deep end without the right equipment, if you like. And I just didn't feel, because of the COVID, that the lockdown that we experienced, I would say that I didn't gain that much of an experience with my last placement. And there were so many things going on in my life, in my own personal life. And I think it just threw me out a bit. Taiwo knows, because she was always on the other end of the phone with me. And that's important to have, to speak about it, to talk about it with your friends or people that you know are close to you, can trust, who are going through the same journey as you. The imposter syndrome, I'm still going through it today, only because of the type of person that I am. As I said, I like to know, I like to take know everything about it. In social work, including where we are with the finance side of things.
What do you mean by
reasons. So with care packages, for example, when you're trying to source out a suitable placement, I like to negotiate with the monetary side of things, so that when I present it to panel, it's secure. It can't be, oh, you need to go back and check with another care agency if they can lower the figure. Is there another agency that can offer the same kind of support but for the less fee? So I don't want to do all that, because at the end of the day, I want that result there and then when I take it, so I can take it back to the family. So that's me. I just like to know. I just like to get involved in all aspects. It shouldn't be surprising, right?
No, I think some of the, can I say this? Some of the most talented people have this great voice saying that they're not the greatest at all. So I would say you're one of those people. So I get where you're coming from, because I still have those. I have those challenges as well, but I tend to dive in like a crazy man. I'll just go for it, and then wake up and go, "What am I doing?" But I'm here. Oh, let's deal with it,
Yeah.
But I know that voice. All right, Taiwo. Oh no, actually, let me ask a question. Someone says they know us. Hey. Do you do you recommend definitely doing ASYE?
Tyler,
Is
you
that, is
asking
that
Sorry,
to
for
me?
this is
me?
to both of you. Sorry, to both of you.
I would say yes. For me personally, I just think now I'm not limited as to where I can apply. So that will always be there. And I think also, yes, because although I wasn't greatly protected, I was. So I could push back a bit and say, actually, this is my protected year. You know, there are too many cases. You weren't given complex cases. And I think it just gives you that time to learn your skill, to hone in on what you need to do without feeling under pressure.
Yeah.
You know, you get your reflective days, so you can still kind of have almost those uni days where you're still able to read, where you're still able to kind of look at your theories and how you implement them and so on. You know, it gives you opportunity to attend as much training as you can fit in. So for me, I would say yes, if you can do it, do it, because I think, you know, you've now got that piece of paper, and it just does give you that slightly easier year. And if you've got a good ASYE coordinator and you've got a good manager, then you will be protected, and you will get that extra learning that I believe you need. Because I think as social workers, I mean, the role I'm working in now, we've just got someone that started and they've been given 9 cases on the first day they started. Boom, get on with it. Not in those, not kind of shocking like that, but it was literally get on with it. And she was like, the cases are everywhere. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. This is out of date. This is out of date. So imagine being an ASYE or someone that hasn't had that real life practice experience going into a job and not having that protection and not having that time to reflect. I think that's quite dangerous. Yeah. So, but you're a strong person, Curtis. Not everyone can handle it. So I would say if you can get that protected year, definitely go for it. But don't let it limit you as well, because I know there's not enough vacancies out there, and I know there's not everyone's gonna get an interview and so on. So don't let it limit you. But if you can get it, I would recommend it. Yeah.
Thanks for calling me strong. I take it. Ivan, what'd you say?
Initially, I think I didn't want to go through the interview process. I just wanted to be given the role and start earning, if truth be told, and start earning. And now that I love my ASYE coordinator and I love my practice educator, and that's, as I said to you, me and Taiwo, we started off from the same local authority. Her experience is different from mine. Where she wasn't protected, I'd say I was.
We're going to talk about it.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I say, yeah, nowhere near as the amount of caseload she has. But with mine, my coordinator was constantly on the back of my practice educator, who's also the deputy team manager, to lower the caseload, and it was showing on all the reports. And it's only now that it started to come down, actually, in the final hurdle. But yeah, I would definitely recommend it, because you've got the protection, hopefully, that the local authority will give you that. And I think by the sounds of it, it all depends on your practice coordinator and your line manager as to how seriously they take that and how much influence the coordinator actually has.
Yeah.
My one has. It's a different coordinator to Tyro's. But yeah, I would definitely recommend it, because then you've got your ASY reflective days. So giving you as an example, one who's just started was under the impression that I told you this time, that I only work 4 days a week. And I was like, why do you think that? And she said, because you're always saying, oh, I'm on an ASYE day, I'm on this, I'm on that. And I said, no, a 5-day, I take 1 day off every for my reflective study.
Every 2 weeks.
Which is every 2 weeks. It's supposed to be half a day a week, but I combine mine to 1 day a week, 1 day every couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So to give me time to work on my folder. And I just completed the ASYE foundation course also through the local authority because it's a requirement that I attend.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just lots of opportunities for courses. And they can't say no, you know. You can just, you know, they'll say something, but you could just let it wash over your head.
So it's interesting that you mentioned that Taiwo had a different experience. Taiwo, we've talked about it on a podcast previously, but here we are afresh again. Were you protected when you were doing was your caseload protected when you were doing your ASYE?
To be honest, because just in case I want to go back to that local authority, they tried to protect it, but as we know in social work, there's a shortage of staff. So even though I was like, I think on the job description it says 12. When I finished my ASYE, I think I was on 25.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's a full caseload. That's a normal
full caseload. And I think, so when I said, but I'm supposed to be on 12, my lovely manager said, but who else will I give it to? And I understood that because we were short staffed. There wasn't enough people. And you've just got to almost kind of take it for the team. So that was the position that I was in. So it was almost like, well, okay, yeah, if it's not allocated, and we've got to have cases allocated. So that's kind of where I was. And the ASYE coordinator that I had was absolutely lovely. But again, almost kind of took an indifferent view. And it was just like, well, that's what we've got to do. That's what's going to happen. I can't really comment. There's not much I can do. So I just kind of bit my tongue and got on with it and just prayed for that year to be over.
You know, I think, you know what it is? It's like, it depends on how you want to pay, because I think if you're overly protected, because I know people have been doing it for nearly a year and they're still protected heavily, because some people can contain it more. I don't think they would have given you more than they thought you could handle.
Yes.
So
yeah.
they made the assumption, you know what, Taiwo's managing, let's give it to her. And the payoff for that is that when you start practice, you can hit the ground running.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of pain.
It is a lot of pain. And you know what? My manager, actually, she's a tough cookie. And she would sometimes send back my my assessments, and I'd think but actually she demanded a certain level. I wouldn't say excellence, but a certain standard. But I work by those standards now, and it's made me the person that I am. So at the time, I hated it. But actually, when you're working with vulnerable people, I think you do have to have a certain level and a certain standard. And I appreciate that now. And actually, all the stuff that she taught me when I used to try and kind of take shortcuts, she'd be like, no, go back and do that and write it this way and do it that way. And actually, it's those skills and that writing style that I have now that has put me in good stead. So now I can look back and appreciate it. But at the time, I was like, you're sending this back again? I've got things to do. But I appreciated that. And I think you do need managers like that make sure that you're practicing safely and that you're practicing correctly. Definitely.
All right, next question. I work in a Sean D says, I work in a local authority on an apprenticeship program. I will qualify in May and I have to do ASYE to stay in my local authority, which is my plan. Did you find that you had enough support with team pressures?
It depends what they mean. Definitely within the team. Yeah, with the team, definitely. Fantastic team. And, you know, I wish I could take that team everywhere I was. And even with my manager, I felt supported, definitely. So, and then you've got your ASYE coordinators as well. But I think one thing that you have to be mindful, and I remember my practice educator saying this to me my final year, she was like, Tyra, you have to find your voice. Because I think sometimes because you just want to get through that year, you just want to pass, you can be a bit quiet and take on things. But you have to be able to say when enough is enough and when it's getting too much. So if you're able to do that, then you should be okay.
Yeah, okay. Next question. This is to you both, of course, are there certain theories that you use more than others? We've got another theory question down below as well. But let's. Oh no, here we go. Sorry, social work student Lee. Can we talk theories? So I know some, but how do you know which theories to link with certain cases? Is it something that you become more confident with over time?
Are you going to answer this? Can I answer this first?
Go on.
I'll say to you, what theories? Honestly. No, seriously, because when we talk about theories, so this is what I'm saying, in terms of what we learn at uni and what we apply in practice, it's completely different. You're not writing about theories, you know, you're not talking about humanistic theories, behaviorists, none of that. It's not like that at all. What they like to look at, say, for example, if you're going to mention something about, oh, okay, you know, the child, parents and child have a very close relationship or whatever, well, then expand a bit more, talk about the attachment to that. You could say, oh, the child is showing a secure attachment, very tactile, approaches the parent, comes back and comes away again. You know, you back it up like that, I suppose. But in terms of theories, I don't know. Do you, Taiwo?
I don't think you kind of don't sit there and go, oh, that's the theory I'm going to use. But I think it does sort of come to you automatically. There's some that are, you know, I think that we use quite a lot in social, for example, like strength theory or
strengths-based,
or systems,
because
I like to work from a strength base, because I think as social workers, when we're working with people, they automatically think that we're going in and we're going to criticize them. But when you go in saying, oh, actually, you've done this, you take your kid to school, you've managed to do this, they kind of think, oh, hang on, and you can, because we're all like that as humans, isn't it? If we go in, if someone criticizes us, then we're going to automatically have our backup. But if you go looking at the positives, then, you know, that always helps. I think I use task-centered quite a lot as well, because there's always stuff to do. But again, task isn't about what we do, it's about giving it to the family so that they feel empowered. So I think generally you don't go in thinking, you don't label it, but you kind of do it automatically, if that makes sense.
So, like, for example, if you're talking about, if you're writing up a plan, a child in need plan, let's say, that's your task centered there. If you're talking about systemic, you're going into a meeting, or when you're doing your assessment, you're looking at all the other professionals that's involved around that child and that
the family strengths as well.
So, when you're interviewing, when you're assessing the parents and the family, you're looking at what they're good at. What do they call it? Signs of safety. What's working well, what isn't, and what are we worried about? What do we need to see happen? So that's broken down, but you don't label it as such in your work. You're doing it automatically.
It's almost like you're
writing
an assignment.
And I suppose the only time where I probably explicitly label it is in supervision. So in the local authority I'm in now, in our supervision front sheet, it says what theories have you used and why have you used that theory. So I think that's the only time when I really kind of sit down and think about it. And also, I think when you're, especially with looked after children, sometimes the way they behave towards you and others, you can, like Ivan said, you can kind of relate that back to attachment and think, oh, the reason why you're acting or this is happening for you is because of what you've been through. So I think, you just kind of, it's just kind of there. And I remember a social worker saying that to me years ago and thinking, oh, you know, why wouldn't you just think about it? But now I get what they mean by that. So, yeah.
I would say I don't often use theories. It just depends on the case. So this was a question that was asked to me privately earlier on today. I think it's important because I want, okay. So when I'm writing my assessments, I don't say according to attachment theory necessarily, but you can do that if you want. But I think that you have to think about the assessment as a piece of work that the family can use afterwards. And so you got to speak to them. Don't write about them.
Mm.
I would say incorporate learning to speak to the family, so that when they read it, they can learn about themselves, and it's like almost like a mirror in a sense when you're writing about them. So it has to be positive. You have to be honest and maybe put some, you know, areas of development. But when you're writing about theory, what I often do is just use articles to back up the point I'm making, according to this article from this journal, and then express the point. And you've got to either use a really comprehensive quote that they will understand, or just write a couple of sentences about the point you're trying to make.
Yeah.
Don't be too clinical with it if you're going to use that. Depending on what team or you work in. Like when I used to work in youth offending service, we used to use the Good Lives model, which is good for adolescents. And they're expecting that, well, where I work, they're expecting that in every assessment, which is not really fair. But that's what they wanted. The Good Lives model is a common thing. But if you work in children and families, for example, you've got the whole world to look at. And you've also got your analysis with that. So you've kind of got to think, well, is there an article about the impact of neglect and confidence? Go and look it up. It takes 5 minutes. A lot of information out there. Yeah. Is something clicking away? I can hear something clicking.
No, that's the printer.
What are you printing? Some theories?
No, my daughter's printing something. Yeah.
Okay, no worries. Let's go. I think there's another question here somewhere. If not, okay, yeah. Okay, so Ivy, what team are you in?
Children with disabilities team, 0 to 25.
Okay, Ivy, talk to us briefly. What are you experiencing? What is it like in the disabilities team?
What is it like? I love my team. The team, I think they're very supportive. We're very close, aren't we, Tyro? We are very close, and it's very important to have that relationship with your colleagues, because at the end of the day, for someone like me, for example, who've got, you know, little amount of experience in terms of years, my colleagues are my go-to. So if I'm unsure of something, or if there's something that I just want to air out, you know, they're at the other end of the call. We have our daily teams catch up, which is great, because the majority of us, we're all working from home, and it's one way of, I guess it's the style of management, of keeping everyone connected.
Yeah.
And it works, because when we do see each other, you know, it's like reuniting with your family. That's what I would say.
And how's the team in terms of the type of service users? What's that like working in that team for the children with disabilities?
Say that again. What do you mean?
Yeah. So
what's the team like, or what's the children with disabilities?
What's it like working in such a team in terms of the service user type? So,
oh, they're amazing. Do you know what? I mean, they all come, their background, my colleagues, their background is wide ranging. So, and there are also areas where, well, we prop each other up. There are some colleagues who've had years of experience, but there's certain areas that they're unfamiliar with. So because children with disabilities, where I'm at, it's a 0 to 25, we're looking at both the Children's Act and the Care Act, both the children's and adults. So they overlap. Our caseloads are mixed. It's children and adults. So it's tapping into the expertise of our colleagues, and developing our own professional development, I suppose, is one way of looking at it. In terms of the families that we work with, some can be quite complex, and there are some, as Taiwo has said to me previously, with children with disabilities, the families that you work with, they want your help. So yeah, so then yeah, they
And
embrace you more.
what
They
about?
open the door with a
They're
smile. They
Oh,
want
I'm
to
coming to your
see
team, mate. I'm coming to your team.
yeah,
you. They
they
open the door with
do.
a smile.
No, I do feel blessed with the team that I'm in,
Yeah.
and I think I'm not saying that it's going to be like that across with every other children with disabilities team, but certainly with mine, I just yeah, it helps a lot to be part of a team.
Tell me, what about resilience when it comes to working with your service user type?
Gosh, we've got a high caseload. Something like that. In fact, I was just commending one of my colleagues who has developed strong resilience. So caseloads can be sky high, can vary, and I mean really high with the local authority that I'm in. But for her, we were talking about another colleague who's got high caseloads, and when she told me about hers, so there was an offer of who wants to take a complex case, right? So I asked if I could, but I was shut down straight away because I'm ASYE. And my colleague, my experienced colleague, asked if she could have it or just made inquiries, and I was like, why? Like your cases are managed. She said, oh no, I've only got 25 at the moment. Honestly, she said it like that. Oh no, it's okay. I've only got 25 at the moment. It's manageable. And I'm like, is that what it's done to you? It strengthened your resilience. And in some ways, that's fantastic because now I think, wow, you're going to be indispensable. You're going to be an asset to any local authority because, you know, you're just cruising it at 25. So yeah, in terms of developing resilience, you've just got to have it really, especially when you're working with the families that we work with, can be really tough. But you also have to ensure that you maintain that boundary. So certain things that they want, that they expect support with, and you know it's not in your remit to be able to do that. You've just got to say, but it's all part of developing that good relationship with the families, right? It's dropping your role, is what I would say, and being empathetic and putting yourself in their position. Yeah, and being sincere and honest. And I think that's you need to develop that from the very beginning to be able to do to support them in the future, now and in the future.
I just want to let everyone know we can use this as CPD in for England. You know that?
Oh yeah. Like you're thinking.
I'm just letting you know. Thanks for that. That was really nice, kind of reflective breakdown. To be fair, that was nice. Taiwo, so I know you worked in disability team before. You're working in LAC now. Give us the lowdown.
So actually, one thing that I want to say. So when Ivany was saying that in her team now is 25, I think what you will find is that different teams have different caseload levels because of the amount of work that you have to do. So in my team now, so I'm LAC leaving care, so I work with 16 to 18, and then 18 to 25 is with personal advisors, and then within my local authority we have another LAC team which is from like 0 to 15 and a half, 16. So in my team the highest that we have is 16. Could be lower, and that is just because of the sheer amount of paperwork
Is that a lot?
For me it's manageable, but I would still say that's a lot because in our LAC team for the under 16s I think their maximum is about 10, and it's because we've got the reviews, we've got children living all over the place, so there's lots of traveling. We're dealing with all aspects of their lives. You know, if you imagine that we call ourselves corporate parents, so we are, so just like you would do for your own child,
Yeah.
Imagine if you've got 16 of your own children that you've got to make sure they're in school, they've been to the doctor, they've been to the dentist, have they got their clothing? You know, you've got, you ask young people, have they got their immigration sorted? Have they? So imagine doing all of that. And then unfortunately, you've also got the trauma that these young people have come from, you know, their family history, their background. So you're also kind of dealing with that. So it's a lot. So I would say for me, when I first heard 16 coming from, I was just about to say the local authority, from my old local authority, I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Wow, 16. But actually, because of the amount of work that we have to do, we've got the PEPs, which is the personal education plans, which is when you're liaising with the schools. So with the amount of paperwork that I have to do, it's a lot. But, you know, I certainly couldn't be holding a caseload of 25 or more within a LAC team. It's impossible. You can't. You can't. You know, I've got clients all over the country. I've got one near Newcastle. I've got one Kent, in the borough, out of the borough. So if you're traveling around and you've got to get all those on the system, it's not possible.
Is it a lot of traveling in your team?
Yes. But what's good is that you can speak to your managers, and your managers are supposed to kind of keep an eye on that as well, to make sure that you're not traveling too much and that you've got a good balance of out of borough and in borough. So yeah, so my manager is very good and kind of.
How do you organise your time then, T? How do you organise your time with all the visits?
Yeah, so I mean, with the LAC team, you know that your visits are every 6 weeks. If they're in a settled placement, so it's every 3 months. And this might differ from local authority to local authority. So I'm just talking about my local authority. So we're every 6 weeks, every 3 months, if they're in a what we call a long-term approved placement. So maybe they've been with their foster carer for like 8-9 years. You know, you don't need to be seeing them every 6 weeks. And then you just plan around that. You just know that every 6 weeks you've got to go and see this person. So you have your calendar. And on our system that we use, once you put in your visit, it tells you your next date of when you've got to go back. So you can kind of know that, okay, I've got to. And I was actually doing that today before I logged off, because I know some visits are coming up. So I was kind of checking when I'm due. So you've just got to be super organized, because these are looked after children. They have to be seen, that you have to make sure that, you know, they're okay. So you can't be late. You know, it's just like being on a child protection plan. You can't be, you haven't seen that child, anything could have happened to them. So they're very strict on that. So yeah, you just got to be well organized. Yeah, book it all in advance.
Someone's saying you can juggle 100.
Well,
crazy. It's crazy.
Well, talking about time management.
Yeah.
We are all parents, so I guess I want to speak to the students really. We all have children, so at the time we were studying, I don't remember how old everyone's children is, but mine was, I had 3 in school at the time, although my oldest is now in uni. What the heck? But my youngest is 9. How many children do you have, Tyro?
3. And my youngest is 11 now.
Ivory?
3. My youngest is now 14.
I thought you guys had 2 kids. It's 3 kids. We've all got the 9 kids.
We've got 3 girls.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 have finished uni. Mine were at uni when I was at uni.
So we all need to look
now
at you when we get to that stage. I tell you.
Yeah.
All right. So how did we cope studying, possibly, and working? Because I was studying and working.
I think we all were. Yeah.
Did we all work at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And put in it. How did we balance that? How did you guys balance that?
What, when we were studying?
Yeah. Just to let everyone know, us 3 were in the same cohort. We were in the same class. And so that's how we know each other. By the way, if you have any questions, please put them through. And you can use this as CPD. So don't forget that. Get your laptop out as you're listening and do it now before Social Work England cuts you off. I'll say no more. But yeah, how did we cope? How did we cope as parents? Working, studying, and parenting at the same time. How did we do it?
I think it's hard. It's hard. I don't know how we did it. Thinking back to it, because obviously we're saying what our kids are now, but at the time, my youngest was still in primary school. But I must say, I was really, really lucky that I've got mum who literally lives about 10, 15 minutes down the road from me. So I was kind of lucky in terms of childcare, school run, all that kind of stuff. Mum did it all. But
Well,
again, but what I used to do is I have to work in total silence. So when the kids went to bed, I was working. So yeah, literally, but not late. So they'd go to bed about 8ish, and then I'd start work till 10, 11. So yeah, you just yeah, my daughter's just commented she thinks she's clever. I don't know how you did it, but you're amazing. You did so
oh,
well.
really?
Thank you,
I see her.
Tenilola.
Oh, really?
I see her. I thought, oh, Temi. What about Temi?
So it is very hard, but I think also what motivates you is that we all knew where we wanted to get, and we probably did it for our kids because they're kind of enjoying the fruits of our labor now because we're all doing quite well. So it's just yeah, so that was a driving force for me. But yeah, you just got to be disciplined. So like I said, when the kids were in bed, I worked at night.
When you say work, do you mean studied?
Studied at night, weekends.
It's no different to what we're doing now, really.
Yeah.
In all honesty, you just get on with it, and that is exactly, and that's life, isn't it? You just get on with it, and whatever journey that we're in, you just get on with it, and you make it work.
So how did you study? And how did you study at the same time? Was you in a job as well? Did you have a job?
No, I don't think I did, actually. I'm trying to think whether I did. I'm not sure. I don't think I was.
So how did you
seems so long ago, isn't it?
How did you fit in your
Same
studies?
thing as what's happening now in the background. So my little, remember, my two eldest ones were at uni, so it was just me and the youngest at home. The same thing. And I think in terms of our timetable at uni, it wasn't as full on. We had so there were.
You get that first semester out of the way, and it was a bit easier.
Yes, yeah, it does get a lot easier. You do get a bit of time out. It's not 9 to 5 at uni, so you make it fit. You make it fit in your lifestyle. It's the same thing as what we're doing now. Well, I was keen to ask you, Taiwo, you know, when you're doing all your statutory visits, when do you have time to do your write-up? Curtis, when do you guys have time? Can we all openly put our hand up and say we are never going to be fully up to date? Or are you up to date?
Never. And it's always there. So today, actually, I think when you called me, Curtis, I was still working. I don't know if you heard me tapping in the background. So I didn't log off today till about 6:30, but it's because I had to have something on the system. There's one of my young people is in hospital and he's fine, but I just thought, just in case something happens overnight, I need to put that I'd seen him and this is what had happened. So there are some times when you just have to put that on the system. And I also had a lab visit earlier on and I put that on the system. It really could have waited till tomorrow, but I know what's coming tomorrow. So I thought, you know what, I've got a little bit of energy. I'm kind of trying to keep awake, ready for you guys. So I just put it on the system and I know tomorrow I've kind of got my day to do whatever I need to do tomorrow. So, I mean, just to be honest with everyone, work is not 9 to 5. Whatever team you're in is not 9 to 5. You know, I sometimes I'm on from 8 o'clock in the morning and I don't finish till 6. Sometimes, not every day. And my children are quite good. They're very good at telling me, Mum, what are you doing? Get off. You know, we've got things to do. And that kind of keeps me grounded. But there are times when I have to say to them, look, I've got to finish this. I've got to get this on. Because again, you know, I remember one of my social work friends saying to me before I qualified, God forbid if something happens to that child and you haven't got it on, because you know if something happens, they close off that case. You can't log into it. So imagine if you'd seen that child or you hadn't seen that child and it's not on the system, you can't prove it. And that scares me up until this day.
Yep.
So that's why certain things I will always put on.
But it's funny because I know this, but it's still, I'm like, I'll do it in the morning. Because when I was in my previous job, when we worked where we worked, right? I was always on top of my case notes, but the fast-paced turnover and how this work is in my job, which is assessment team, it's like there are so many tasks to do. You can kind of shell shot like, what's next? And sometimes I'm thinking, 10 minutes I'll sit there and think, what shall I do next? When I could, and I'm trying to learn to get myself together. And guys, don't for 1 minute think like, I don't know how to do my job. I'm literally like, I've got, like right now is one of those weeks where there is more to do than there is time.
Yes. Isn't that every week?
It's not like every week, but there are weeks like that. Like every second week is literally like that. And that's stressful. And you've got to think, should I do this case note or should I do this assessment?
Yeah.
Or should I make this phone call to the parent? Or should I do my agency checks? You've got to think, you've got half an hour and they're all going to take 15 minutes. So sometimes that is the job.
Yeah. Someone, not for the week, has just put on the train. And yes, when I go on my out of town visits, I am on the train typing things up, putting things down, because then you can just email it to yourself and just copy and paste.
Right.
So again, kind of knowing when you've got that time to kind of fit things in helps as well.
And I tend to use my phone to make notes.
Yes, me too.
Do you use voice notes?
Yeah, in front of a parent. Afterwards, I will elaborate if I have to, but I type in like bullet points in my phone, and then I will go in the car and speak it and then email it. That depends on how the week's going, but always have my notes on the phone there, and then I'll send it to myself.
Yeah, definitely.
And in that first visit, try to cover everything that you need. With the assessment. It makes life so much easier, guys. Listen, I've got a comment here. You know, at some point we're going to have to restart this live because they only give me an hour per shot for some unknown reason. Studying MZ.
God, it's an hour already.
I know, that's what I told you.
Yeah.
Studying, working, and raising kids is hard. How we juggle it is amazing. For me, it was my daughter seeing me working even harder and seeing the outcome. Love that she came to my graduation. Wow, I didn't go to mine. Hey!
No, you didn't.
No, I was working. I said to myself, should I take the day off?
Yes, and that's where your next topic could be, about boundaries. You all have to be boundaried, and it's best to start off from the very beginning. So that 9 to 5, Taiwo, you said it's not going to be 9 to 5. However, it's your right to have that 9 to 5. It's not going to be every day, but there are going to be days where it's going to be a lot longer. As Taiwo said, she's up at 6, 7. Yeah, I've done that. I do that often, but that's me. That's your choice, though.
But do you know what's good as well?
Choice.
I think what's good, and I think you know, we get a lot of people like, do people leave social work or do they leave their managers? My manager's brilliant. I can say to my manager, I need to take toil, go for it. She doesn't want to know what times, what days. She trusts me. She knows the work is on. She knows it's there. Taiwo, have you taken toil? You know, why haven't you taken it? And that is really helpful to know as well, that your manager is backing you, and you don't have to kind of prove your work because they can see it.
Let's talk about the power of a good manager. Come on.
Power of a good, I mean, my job now, so I've been in my present job now for the past year and a month now, and I am not leaving because of my manager. She's amazing. Honestly, she's amazing. Right from day one, she trusts my judgment. We agree on everything. She makes sure that I'm cared for. She checks in with me. And why would I want to leave that to go somewhere else where I might not get that? You know, she doesn't treat me like a child. She doesn't micromanage me. I can check in with her when we need to. She's got a good sense. She's got a wicked sense of humor, actually. So yeah, so literally I stay, and I told her, and she knows this, I stay because of her. And she knows that. So yeah, I'm not leaving that. And if she goes, I'm going. But the whole management team, not even my direct manager, even just the whole management team where I am is just amazing. So I'm not gonna, it's so hard to find that, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've got a good manager, and it's helpful when, you know, I feel like a failure because I'm hard on myself. So it's like she'll say, Curtis, you know, this visit's not been done. I'm like, oh gosh. She'll say, when can you do it? Look,
Yeah, yeah,
all
yeah.
right, tomorrow, all right, or today. She was like, yesterday she was like, a visit's not been done, and she was like, it needs to be done. Can it be done today? And I was like, all right, I'm gonna leave at 4 o'clock and I'll go and do it. No problem. You'll go the extra mile for your manager if they're good. I want to go back. I want to go back to very briefly, unless you want to go somewhere else. How I did it as a parent. I studied on the way home from uni because it's an hour and 20 minutes journey from uni to home. And I sat on the bus and I sat on Google Drive and was building my assignments. And I was always on time. And I would just do 2-3 sentences, and I would always end up having too many word count for the assignment, and spend a lot more time pulling back on word count. But I was always 2 weeks ahead. That's what saved me. Someone saying, honestly, guys, thank you so much for this great advice and amazing platform for us all, of course. Yeah, okay, so confidence, self-confidence, or just confidence in the role?
I think
There
it
goes the
grows.
imposter syndrome.
Yeah, I think it grows.
Yeah.
But I think there are times where you doubt yourself. And again, this is where having a good manager comes in, just being able to go back and think and say, oh, this is what I'm thinking. This is and having that team around you as well, being able to bounce off other people is so important. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you go into me, and I remember my PE saying to me, because my thing to get out of stuff is, oh, I'm just gonna have to speak to my manager. You know, I'm not a decision maker. And I remember my PE saying, when you are with that family, you are the decision maker. You will be there. You will say what you have to say, and you will. So
okay, pause.
So
Pause.
you just have to go into that.
Pause. I've got a 2-minute timer saying it's going to end. I'm going to start this live right now again, so that we can finish what we're talking about. Confidence. Taiwa, don't forget what you're saying. Ivan, I'm getting ready to hear what you got to say. Guys, join me on I'm going to start in literally 10 seconds.
So what we're doing, just joining again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
See you guys in a minute.